Hey, this is Gareth and Bruce. This is our first attempt at a podcast.
We just don't know where it's gonna go.
You got more of the gruff voice. I got more of the
Softer feminine voice.
screw you.
Hey.
I don't know, I felt a little snobby when we hit 10 episodes.
Okay, that's an interesting question.
The two of us can be Vin Diesel. Gareth can drive like him. And I can look like him.
Welcome to Spaghetti Junction. My name is Gareth,
My name is Bruce.
and we talk about things. We just don't know where they're gonna go.
Hello and welcome to the Spaghetti Junction podcast. My name is Bruce
My name's Gareth.
and we talk about things.
We just don't know where they're gonna go.
Can we just say, well, I'll say the apology and then you can say what happened with our last episode. Well, actually last is 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, you'll be aware that we always send out an episode once a week, and then it just didn't happen. Unfortunately, the one that was meant to be out last week, we had a problem with stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, we unfortunately had a bit of a mix-up with
Bit of a boo-boo.
sending the video footage through to my editing software and got mixed up, and it was just a
It flips around in different parts of
and
the episode because we don't film it as one.
yes.
Because your camera can't do a full hour.
Yeah,
or
we run with certain limitations on
Yes.
the tech that we have, so we've got to kind of make sort of little allowances, let's say.
Exactly.
And then but that wasn't the issue. It was a battery, or the battery died,
And then it messed up.
and then
Then it didn't line them all up in the same order, and then
yeah.
it was screwed.
I still feel more comfortable taking the blame for it, so I will.
It's whatever. It's done.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah,
What can you
it
do?
wasn't planned, especially after such our hugest episode ever. Well, so like not to have that happen and then to have an episode that doesn't happen afterwards. So if this is like one of your first times back with us after that episode, we normally do have one episode every week.
Yeah, and thank you so much for those incredible views. I mean, we had 1,000 views in 1 week. We're blown away, so thank you so much
It's
for the
1,000,
engagement.
yeah.
Thank you so much for getting in the comments and actually having some conversations.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen that episode, go back and check it out, because it's
The episode all around sex addiction,
yeah.
and what it is and what it isn't. And I think up till then the highest we've had is about 350,
That is
352, which
that's
is
a
also
huge-
huge.
But that's a huge jump. I mean,
Yeah,
from around 300 views in one video to
Like I said,
1,000.
I know. I still
In a
don't get
week.
it.
That's crazy.
But yeah,
So thank you so much.
yeah, you guys are legends, and we hope that some of you from that extra 700 people or 700 views or extra people will be along for the ride.
Excuse me. The one thing I didn't check was, are we still on the same number of subscribers, or have we had a couple?
We actually are, since we last did it, checked it on, we're on 31. So we've
Okay,
had
so still.
an extra, no, still. We were on 27 and we got
Yes.
excited. So 31
Okay.
after
No,
27.
I thought we were more than. I thought we might have gone to more than 31.
How dare you be horrible to the people who gave their blood, sweat and tears for 4 subscribers. I'm sorry, those 4 subscribers. Bruce wanted more. Well, thank you.
I'm just checking. 1,000 views in a week.
Well, you probably should have checked because you also do this podcast.
I know. I'm sorry.
Yes, that's brilliant. Flip, man.
I am shamed.
Good. So thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Carrying on.
So yeah, that last Sunday we had to do two podcasts in one day. Normally we've gone over to just filming once every Sunday, but we had to do 2 in one.
We're never going to tell them that.
Oh.
Oh, well, I guess we have to, yeah.
Yeah. Because the reason was because now this conversation is all about me.
Finally. Yeah.
So I had a very cool gig with the band that I play with. We played out in the thriving metropolis of Brakpan in the east of Joburg. If you've never been there,
Don't.
I kind of yeah. It was on a military base actually, because it was a gig for Poppy Day, which is the Remembrance Day of the end of World War One. So when we did it for it was a Hells Angels organized event, so tons and tons of bikers. And it was a military parade, and a whole lot of the bikers who were ex-parabats on the SA military did a military parade, and there was wreath laying and all kinds of stuff. So it was very cool. And
Nice.
yeah, we had a good time. A lot of people had a good feedback, and that nice afternoon of playing classic rock to a bunch of bikers. So
Are they are they fans or not really? Or do they like drink and
yeah, you
chat
didn't have,
and
you didn't you
not
didn't have-
really interact with you guys?
You didn't have a lot of people sort of in front of the stage, but you could. We afterwards we got a lot of good feedback about how much they enjoyed it and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, because well, most of our gigs will be sort of at sort of Angels events, and that. And yeah, cool bunch of guys.
Is the stereotype
Stereotype.
that's about fish that there's a lie about fishes? It's a stereotype. Stereotypes of Holly Hell's Angels.
Yes.
Do they all ride Harley Davidsons?
Yeah, most of them do.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I thought that's a joke.
Most of them do, but I was quite surprised to see a lot of Hells Angels guys on superbikes, which is weird because normally you'd expect them
Yeah.
to be on Harleys. So I
Okay.
was quite surprised. That's something I didn't know. So the bike thing,
They normally
It's
drive
not
on
a-
Harleys.
it's not a rule
That's an
that you have
expense.
to ride a Harley.
Yeah, for sure.
And
It's
some
expensive.
of those guys have got nice ones there. My
Exactly.
word.
So the amount of money to join that club is pretty high.
I've got to be honest. You'd be surprised how affordable secondhand Harley Davidsons are actually in this country.
Okay.
Brand new Harleys are. There's no brand new Harley under 100,000 rand. It's
Oh
ridiculous.
no, it's way over 100,000.
I mean 150, 200,000 rand,
Yes,
250,000. But used in good condition from a reputable dealer, I've looked at the prices and it's not actually that bad. So
How
I'm not surprised how many more people have got Harleys.
like what is not bad.
80 grand
Okay.
for a Harley. That's pretty damn good. So I'm not surprised why you see more Harleys. I would like to see more Indian motorcycles on the road though. I like Indian motorbikes. Those are cool. They're like the Harley competitor.
Oh,
But you don't
I
see
thought
them.
you were saying Indian bikers.
No, they are. Oh, there's definitely those guys. Don't get me wrong. But no, the Indian manufacturer.
Indian manufacturer.
They're like a Harley. They are.
That's
You
probably
can
not-
get them in
not
Joburg.
as expensive, I'm guessing.
No, they are. They're up there. Hey?
Really?
But they're not. They you don't see them. Everyone buys Harleys. So if you want to
The
stand
whole
out,
name
if
thing.
you want to stand out from the crowd, go get an
Yeah,
Indian.
exactly. Everyone's buying Harleys, is like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, I remember when there was rare as hen's teeth, and now you see 5 a day.
It's like Mustangs, for example. They used to be rare. Now I see at least, well, a few a day as well.
Yeah, I've got one of the teachers that I work with in the music school rides a Harley now. He rides a nice one as well. Jeez,
Yeah.
beautiful. Anyway, so yeah,
Well, thank you.
still on the bucket list.
What? Buying a Harley? Or
Well,
riding
buying a
one?
bike in general. Jeez,
Yeah, buy a bike in general. Thank
Yeah.
you. If
I won't say no to a Harley.
of
though.
your friends would say the same thing, yes. I mean, I've managed to get through, I think, 4 bikes easily, and you still haven't gone through one. So
I know it was terrible.
Although I would, yeah, it's not that safe.
Yeah, but I think I still got to do it once.
You have to, yes. Definitely works.
So yeah, Hungary has passed a very interesting law.
Hungary, yes.
Yes, the
In
country of Hungary.
in Europe, yes.
That has got a lot of people sort of up in arms and
Okay.
all a flutter.
And we are actually going to be discussing. What do we discuss? I guess people can read our title, but still, it's always good to go into it.
We're going to be chatting a little bit more about the LGBTQ
Q.
community.
Which has now gone longer, but I'll bring that up
It
later.
has, yes.
Yes.
Um,
but I mean more just about who they are.
Yeah.
It's that's not really. I mean, it's part of the focus, but the other section to it is actually really more around about how they are treated.
Yeah, and sort of like
That's the bigger focus right now.
with sort of countries, governments, and the laws they're putting in place, and like how far is too far with the government, infringing on people's personal rights and rights of freedom of expression, freedom of speech, all that kind of thing.
So that's the government side.
Yeah, no matter what side of the fence you are, if you're
exactly.
sort of a conservative,
and
or
I
if
think
you're
we will touch on that, but not hugely.
No, probably
The big, probably I like that. Well, screw you, Gareth. Well, we did admit.
Well,
actually, because we don't want the focus to be on government, because that's that's
it's a whole other can of worms.
well, not but I mean, in the sense where we're going to be looking at the government side for sure.
Yeah.
But the bigger focus, I think, that we agreed with, hopefully, otherwise I'm going to shut us off, is on the humane side of things.
Human element.
On the human element, which is more important than the governmental. Although we kind of are opposite to that. No, we are though.
Yeah, no, we are. But that's cool.
I'm very
Otherwise, the
in touch with humanity. You just want to see the whole.
That's
But to me, this is one of the reasons why we're going to do this. A bigger reason for me is actually how it interacts and how it actually touches people on the ground.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, good. But I will time you.
Oh dear. Okay. Right. So basically, Hungary passed a bill. Actually, a while back. It happened in June.
Of what year?
This year. So I'm sorry, I apologize that I'm late to the party because it only got on my radar now. And it's a lot of the sensationalism around it is that it is like an anti-LGBTQ law, but it's actually not. It's no.
Okay.
It's not. When I went into more detail about it, it's not focusing on anti-LGBT. The legislation bans anyone under the age of 18 from being educated on anything relating to homosexuality and transgenderism, LGBTQ, and everything.
Okay.
Which is very interesting, considering that the Hungary age of consent is actually 14, which is scary in itself.
That's very bad.
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't understand why it's not seen as an anti-LGBTQ thing.
Because the way, according to Peter, I'm hoping Szijjártó, hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Take your word for it.
He's the Hungarian foreign minister. So it actually, they really should have separated this law, because the law, a lot of it was to increase punishment for a lot of stuff to do with pedophilia, okay, which is obviously something you want to do. You want to punish them. But then they included in that same bill this banning of targeting under 18s for any sort of LGBTQ education, transgenderism, homosexuality, which included anything in schools. And also advertising, if companies were seen to be advertising, if their advertising were sort of contain any of those elements, and they were seen to be targeting under 18s, and banned.
Okay.
But a lot of now your LGBTQ community are up in arms about how this is in general infringing on LGBTQ rights and all that kind of thing.
Which makes sense.
But so because the Hungarian government is sort of a very right orientated, conservative government, they have decided that's what they're going to do and all of that. Also sort of TV shows, movies, and everything. And you see a lot of this on Netflix, where even a lot of kids shows now are having a lot of that sort of LGBTQ element being placed in them.
Sure.
So any of that stuff would also be banned, because they feel anyone under the age of 18 should not be seeing.
Okay, but now your point, I'm just trying to work it out here. What you're saying that it was put as LGBTQ anti, but it's not.
Well, they're saying it's not. They're not anti the community. They're anti it being exposed to under 18 kids. That's the main thing.
Okay.
And people are up in arms about that in that. So that's why. Yeah.
Okay, no, no, I'm just trying to work out where it was.
And that's initially what I thought. It's like flipping, Hungary's just anti everything, but they want to, they see it as protecting your children and stuff.
LGBTQ side,
They're seeing it as an infringement of of their rights, human rights.
Yeah, it's
freedom
interesting.
of expression. And they're also saying that type of education around sexuality, when it comes to kids, that should be placed on the parents. It should not be placed in schools or put into, like I said, advertising, TV shows, movies that are aimed at kids. I'm kind of in agreement with that, but it's such a fine
line.
It's a very contentious subject, because you see it, like I said, you see it all the time on kids' cartoons now. It is everywhere. It's part of our lives, I think, whether we like it or not. So
and there's a show on Netflix. There's a few. No. I mean, if you look at it though, as in like for example, no, I won't go there. There's a recent animated show on Netflix which is called Q-Force.
Yes.
Which is also
but it sort of really is like the whole thing is
that they are gay.
Is LGBTQ. Yeah.
And that's that's on Netflix.
Yeah,
which anybody can watch.
And a lot of people have come up in arms against that.
Yeah,
it's weird because it is part of our lives. So in some way, you would think kids need to be educated about it,
sure,
so that they're aware of it.
Look, I can guarantee that there are questions every day by many children in schools and stuff. So, it's a normal thing. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's not like well done, Netflix, and pushing it through. Look, I do hear what you're saying. I think it's difficult. I mean, do you do it at school, or do you do it with, with your parents? It's a difficult one. I think that questions can look. For me, if you want to, talk about it in school or with your parents or all. It's not going to hide the fact that there are people in your kids' classes that are LGBTQ. It's just part of life. That is. So to me, I don't know. People must just get over themselves.
Maybe the Hungarian government is they're because they're coming from that traditional conservative side of things. Maybe they feel that putting it into school education is maybe just a step too far.
Yeah,
and they feel that the parents need to decide.
And I think that was also brought up in America as well a while ago. I think it's a mainstream. I think it's not only to Hungary, if that makes sense. I think it's a question which is being asked in many countries.
Yeah,
it's a big thing, and I guess it's just like if you don't want to talk about it, it doesn't mean that it's going to make it go away. It
That's
doesn't
very
mean
true.
that the people who you interact with are of a different, sexual identity. So just because it's not, brought up in school, it doesn't change the fact that we all live in the same world.
Yeah, it's gonna be there no matter what. So
I can see your side of things. I mean, your thing, what you brought up in. Yeah, I think it's with the conservative people for sure. It'll be like no, it's just not right, and you can't talk about it and stuff. But we are all human beings, and we all have everything that's we all are going through the same world, and just some with a different identity going on.
Yeah, just the and just the last point on that was I think a lot of people are up in arms because this law has been it's been put together with this pedophilia law. So they
it's a link to it.
Yeah, because they said the guy said it's in two. The one law, it's got two parts, and they're very upset that the LGBTQ community is it's like they're being lumped with pedophiles.
Yeah, which is wrong. Yeah,
which they should have really made two separate laws. And
well, of course,
if they were going to do that, but because they put them together, that's also made some people very, very upset, which I can imagine.
Well,
I'm not surprised.
Exactly, because the one is legal and the one is not.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah, so it's all kind of been lumped together instead of having a very separated. Yeah, so.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's not. I'm pretty sure. In fact, it's not. It's obviously not the only country where that's being spoken about. I know that we spoke about it. I'm pretty sure we did. Maybe with somebody else where we discussed. But this is a long time ago. Where we chatted about it in America as well. You know, where there was also like a line between the about the parents saying it's not meant to be talked about in school. We'll talk about it as parents, and the other side was saying, well, we need to be made more understanding of of our fellow humanity kind of thing. So I think it's a very difficult one.
Yeah.
And I think unfortunately it can get very political.
Yes. Okay.
Than anything else, and when you could go that level, then you miss out on the whole humanity side of things. Then it's just pointless.
Yeah, this has been compared to a lot of the laws that they've put in place in Russia, and Russia's even more like hardline about not having this stuff around. So they've compared it to that, which So anyway.
Okay, cool. No, thanks. That's all good. I wanted to go into the whole humanity side of things, as in, like, what is actually, like how are people in the LGBTQ community actually affected, by it? Because I think it's very easy for all these laws and stuff, but they don't actually focus on,
like you said, people on the ground, the actual people
of the LGBTQ community. There was a picture that I sent you, but I'll go into it now. That basically discusses LGBTQ, and then there's extra letters that have recently
they've added to.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not really. I think it's like which have been added onto it, kind of thing. But when you talk about the LGBTQ, you're
what you're
aware.
talking. I think that's the sort of the. Is it an acronym?
Yes, acronym.
Yes, that basically will cover everything.
We're aware of it,
yeah.
But now I'll bring it out more into it. It's basically the LGBTQIAAP. Let me just break it down to not sound so. So, for the people who really have like no idea what LGBTQ means, because they just don't know, for whatever. Or some people don't.
Be living in
I would imagine the majority of people know what
by now, I think.
But just in case, we're just gonna just so you want to learn something new. But lesbian, a woman who is primarily attracted to women, obviously. Gay, a man who is primarily attracted to men. Bisexual, obviously, is an individual attracted to people of their own and opposite, because you're bi, which
yes,
too.
Yeah.
Transgender is a person whose gender identity differs. Sorry, I did tell Bruce that my sound has to be on because I got a football match on. Okay, I'm sorry. I know we're doing a podcast.
Yes.
And it's quite a serious podcast, actually. So I will turn it off now.
You get so many complaints in the comments.
Yeah, I know.
Such a serious comment. Gareth's listening to his football match.
Sorry, guys.
Gareth is very passionate about his football.
I am, but sorry. Let me refocus. I apologize. Transgender is a person whose gender identity differs from their sex assigned at birth. And transsexual is this is what it says here, an outdated term that originated in the medical or psychological communities for people who have permanently changed their gender identity through surgery or hormones.
Wow, so that term transsexual is now outdated.
It's an outdated term.
Wow, okay.
Queer is an umbrella term to be more inclusive of the many identities and variations that make up the LGBTQ community. And then these are just little extra add-ons because I think we spoke about it. Actually, we did in the whole woke thing as well.
Yes.
But
We had
you
this
know how there are different
huge amount of pronouns now.
and
Yeah.
so these are just a few of them that are linked, and I will post this picture somewhere.
I was actually thinking that would actually make a really good thumbnail for
Yes.
for
Actually,
the
I will do that one.
episode.
Yes. So then the I is intersex, and an individual whose sexual anatomy or chromosomes do not fit with the traditional markers of the female and the male. These I don't really know much about yet, but these are interesting. A is a ally, which is typically a non-queer person who supports and advocates for the queer community.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Which is
normal sort of male or female.
it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Asexual is an individual who generally does not feel sexual desire or attraction to any group of people, and it is not the same as celibacy, and there's many subgroups onto the asexual side.
Sure.
And last one that I think we also spoke about, but anyways, I've known about this for a long time. I think what brought this one up was when we spoke about somewhere in a conversation, and I think it is also in our woke ones as well. Willow Smith,
Well, yes.
who came out as a pansexual. It's like, what the heck, pansexual? And this is a person who experiences sexual, romantic, physical, and or spiritual attraction to members of all gender identities, expressions, not just to people who fit into the standard gender binary. Okay. From that, I just want to say the LGBTQ, that is very clear, and that's been going on for, they have been, in the firing line, so to speak, for a very long time.
Yeah.
This whole thing of like pansexual and what was the one with Demi Lovato? She also had this non-binary
Yes.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that is part of the conversation, but this is
Yes.
not really what we're focusing on. This, to me, the non-binaries and the pansexuals and all that kind of thing.
That's all just part of the pronoun.
It's a
that general
part pronoun
group.
exactly,
Yeah.
but the actual, like what is happening around, is LGBTQ.
Yeah.
Because then this whole thing of, and we spoke about, I think, Demi Lovato she has come out as a non-binary. It's like,
She's now, her name is now Demi Lovato.
and now to me that pulls away from the real focus, which is on the LGBTQ people. That is the major thing. And then like all these little side pronouns, I'm sorry, they just irritate me a little bit because they're like very airy-fairy and they're in and they're the right thing to be said.
Whereas the LGBTQ is kind of more the core.
Yes,
core
and that's absolutely, dude.
That would be that is the kind of the blanket umbrella more than anything else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So all these little side things, whatever.
Yeah.
The LGBTQ thing is a big thing. Now, I wanted to quickly talk about stuff that people who are not LGBTQ or don't really know much about, that community, for example, or who just don't want to know whatever. And I did tell Bruce that my laptop, when I have like eight tabs open, my system just goes full ballistic. But just some factual things about what so a very high portion or a high percentage of the LGBTQ community face mental health issues based just purely on them being different.
Yeah.
From, and I say the word different because what is normal.
Yeah.
So for example, those who identify as LGBTIQ, now this is saying, which is fine, they are more likely to develop problems like low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, social anxiety, eating problems, misusing drugs and alcohol, self-harm, suicidal feelings, and other mental health problems. And I read that there was, and I hope that I have the right page open, but there's a high percentage of suicide or attempted suicide within the LGBTQ community.
Are there, and what, are there have there been specific reasons why? Is it because of them being mistreated by other people, or just
Yes.
is that the main thing, or has it been their sort of just
No,
what's
no.
going on in their own heads with their state of mind, because they're now
No,
or not?
no, the majority reason is because of how they are treated
Oh, really,
and
hey?
mistreated. Oh yeah, dude.
Sort of ostracized by society.
It's
that
a
kind of thing.
huge thing that isn't really spoken about. And people don't really, and people underestimate the power of their words and of their actions. The LGBTQ community are in many cases victimized just for their own beliefs, just for how they see themselves. It's a very nice way to say, close-minded people, treat them like shit. Well, it's a soft version of it. They are basically, and again, it's, for example, the LGBTQ community in the world are quite small.
Yeah, so it is as large, kind of like, as large as it is, because it is growing.
It is, yes.
Compared to the population of the planet, it is still a very, very small.
Yes.
And obviously, most human beings on the planet are that more sort of, the sort of binary thinking, male, female, all of that, and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that they would a lot of people would disagree with this sort of small group of now people who are now deciding they're going to.
Well, small, but yes.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
compared to
Yeah.
everything.
And
else,
that's and that to me just makes me very I guess the word to use is sick, in the sense where it's exactly like being at school and you're a bully
yeah,
and you don't like the LGBTQ because it makes you uncomfortable, maybe. It makes you uncomfortable in your beliefs, or it makes you, this is for a whole nother side of the podcast, I'm guessing, but within, for example, the very conformists, for example, from a religious background.
yeah,
There's a lot of either you are, that this is, how God made you, and if and if that's not what you believe, then we don't want like anything to do with you,
Yeah.
kind of thing, and
Yeah.
wash. And there's a lot of hate speech,
judgment.
judgments. Sorry, my system. I'll just kind of like move a little bit from that, because I have like extra things in my brain from this so in Africa, the research which I've done, there's only one country right now in Africa that supports same-sex marriage, which is South Africa.
Okay.
And then there are, and I had a stats. Sorry,
It was 22. You said about 22 countries.
Okay, 22 countries out of the 54. I think I might be missing one. 22 out of the 54 are open to homosexuality, LGBTQ just in general.
So it's legal. It's accepted.
Yes, it's accepted
by the government. Basically,
yes,
it's
not marriage,
Right.
but their behavior,
that lifestyle.
their lifestyle.
Right. Okay.
But the other 30 odd something, it's illegal.
It's illegal, as in like imprisonment.
As in you can be put in prison because you tend to be gay, for example. Yes. Always be, on the left-hand side and the right-hand side.
Definitely.
But the extremist sides, that is the concern. So the extreme sides, anti-LGBTQ, that is the major concern. And then I think we were also talking about there's an extreme side of the LGBTQ, which
Correct.
we can be aware of as well, I guess.
Yes, where that whole agenda, they believe that should be the only thing. And if you're conservative and you don't believe that, you're the devil, basically. So yeah. So but like we said, there's extremes in like these types of lifestyles: conservative, liberal, religious. There's always going to be that small number of people, and like you said, that is the concern, because those are the people that that take the lives.
Yeah.
Whereas most of the people in any of these communities, if we
talk
about a religious anything,
yep,
most of those people just want to live their lives.
Exactly.
They
And
really just want to live. They just want to chill. Just let me live my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you got some people who are like, no, this must be the way it is, and
on both sides.
And if you don't, I'm going to take extreme measures.
Yeah, and on both sides, unfortunately. Now, I mean, extreme measures, don't mean pop kind of thing, but it's just the way of of addressing people, and their actions against other people can
Correct.
be from violence, can be with words, can be. And again, from what we're saying, it's on both sides.
Yeah.
Do you wanna?
Yeah. No. I'm just saying. We could. I think. Both sides could. We could always do better about sort of trying to actually work together and live together and accept that everyone's different, but we all have points of view, and we're also allowed. We would like to have the freedoms of those points of view. And we can actually still talk and be friends.
Yeah.
It's like we said this before. You and I agree. You and I disagree on a huge amount of things.
Yeah.
But we can still actually be friends.
Exactly.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, exactly. So can I, unless you have anything else to add, can I finish?
I don't, dude. I don't.
Okay.
So I'm good. Eh?
You're good. Okay, cool. Well, let me just end it off with reading a portion of an article that I will have a link up as well. It is on the Guardian newspaper, online as well, and it's called the shocking rise in anti-LGBTQ hate crime shows bigotry is still ruining lives. And they say something here as well that the biggest killer of men, and I think that they are meaning men as in, and I don't know if they're meaning men as in homosexual men, or just men in general. But they say that the biggest killer of men under 45 is suicide. I'm not sure. It is actually, it's the biggest killer of homosexual men under 45.
Suicide.
Is suicide.
Wow.
Yeah. So let me just read a little bit of it.
Mm.
Then we can, end on that. It is impossible to know how much of the surge in reported hate crimes against LGBTQ people is due to escalating harassment and violence, and how much it is down to the increased willingness of victims to inform the authorities. That is true. That there's, where I was reading as well, is that there are so many more crimes against LGBTQ people, but the large portion of them do not, talk about it because fear of being, ostracized, or fear of being mistreated.
Yeah, and also maybe not even taken
seriously.
Like, oh, please, really,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that
So it's like
bad. Or
also-
maybe he didn't mean what he said when
Yeah.
he smacked. I mean,
And then they're like, well, what's the point? The cops aren't going to help me.
yes, that is a big issue.
Okay.
What we do know is that the recorded homophobic and transphobic hate crimes have jumped every year since 2015, and yet with an estimated, there we go, with an estimated 4 in 5 still going unreported.
Yo.
The already grisly figures only hint at a far bleaker reality. The incidents vary in nature and severity. Okay, cool. So this is where I was trying to go. So this is great. From abuse hurled at someone identified as LGBTQ because of their appearance or mannerisms or a fleeting or profound show of affection towards a partner, to gay men being beaten and robbed. According to our research, many experienced verbal harassment, physical abuse, threatening messages, and damage to property. And this is from homophobic attacks to trans people to trans people being attacked. In all cases, there is often a visceral sense of humiliation linked to a sudden invasive reminder that your innate characteristics still drive a section of society to violent disgust. After all, the undoubted progress, anti-LGBTQ bigotry remains a kind of secret authoritarian regime in the country. It compels many LGBTQ people to alter their behavior in order to quietly blend in, or to pretend they are something they are not, to relatives, friends, and colleagues, in order to avoid experiences ranging from the uncomfortable to the outright menacing.
Sure. Wow. No one should have to live like that. I don't care.
No.
I don't care what race you are, what religion you are, what sexual orientation you are, what you identify as. Everyone should at least have that level of freedom.
Yes.
To live their life like they want to.
Yep.
And in safety.
Yes.
Kind of thing. It's because that is fundamental. It's freedom of speech, freedom of expression.
Exactly.
That's a fundamental human freedom.
Yeah. Thanks.
Guys, this has been the Spaghetti Junction podcast. A very interesting discussion. And
Hopefully it helps people to
yeah, absolutely.
step up and be human.
Yeah. Engage with us in the comments. Give us a like. Give us a thumbs up. Comment. Subscribe.
All that kind of fun
You
stuff.
know, all that stuff that you do on YouTube.
Yep.
And we will catch you guys in the
On the next one. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Adios. Bye.